Coming up, 9 layouts to engage and inspire you. Ranging in size from N gauge to G gauge, there is something for everyone. One of the layouts won first prize at the show awards presentation. I'm Andrew Gebbie. You're watching the Heritage and Model Rail channel. This is one of a 6-part series that was recorded at Model Rail Scotland in Glasgow in 2020. Make sure you don't miss any other parts by becoming a subscriber. Also, select the bell icon to be notified when a new video is released. This video is not sponsored by any of the traders shown. This 00 gauge 4mm layout is Camel Quay, exhibited by Terry Robinson. Camel Quay is a typical North Cornwall ex-LSWR station on the River Camel, lying on the Rock Delabole Railway, had it been built. The station with its goods shed bears a resemblance to Padstow on the opposite side of the river. There are local passenger services, together with express trains from Waterloo. I managed to speak to Terry at the show, who gave me a lot more information.
Well, the inspiration really is all about Padstow at the end of the Withered Arm, down in North Cornwall. So really it runs stock that would have run to Padstow, but of course Camel Quay never existed. So you'll see T9s and N classes and BT Weld tanks and those sort of things.
How big is it?
10'6" long and around about 16 inches wide.
Buildings, are they, what are they, scratch or kits?
Yeah, the station building, which is very similar to the one that you would see at Padstow. The goods shed to the left is scratch built. I believe the signal box was an adapted kit, but I don't know whose it was. The back scene is just basically a dull grey, bit like outside today really.
What's your track?
It's basically code 75 track in all places, but the Pico points have been pretty well heavily modified. All the big chunky bits where you put point motors have been taken all off. It's all controlled by DCC, it's NCE. All the point motors are tortoise or cobalt, there's a mixture of them underneath.
Your stock, what's that from?
The stock is pretty well all proprietary. It's a mixture of all the main characters, Bachman, Hornby, Elgin, etc. A couple of dapple things. There was a little scene in front of the hotel here because the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh made a spot visit, unknown to the Dustman man, to come and visit to watch the Morris dancers down here. You can operate with one by using the automatic sequence, but we tend to a minimum of 2. On a 3-day show, we decided we needed 3 people. 3 days is quite grueling actually.
My thanks to Terry for the information. This 45mm gauge layout is A Journey in Switzerland, exhibited by G-Scale in Scotland. The Rhaetian Railway, abbreviated RHB, is a Swiss transport company that owns the largest network of all private railway operators in Switzerland. The RHB operates nearly all the railway lines of the Swiss canton of Graubünden-Grisons. Inaugurated in 1888 and expanded from 1896 onwards in various sections, the RHB network is located almost entirely within Graubünden, with one station across the Italian border at Tirano. The Rhaetian Railway serves a number of major tourist destinations such as St Moritz and Davos. One of the RHB lines, the Bernina Railway, crosses the Bernina Pass at 2,253 metres above sea level and runs down to Tirano, Lombardy in Italy. In 2008, the RHB section from the Albula Bernina area was added to the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Owing to size restrictions, we are not able to model one particular location. Our layout is intended to give an overall flavour of RHB operations and rolling stock. We are also running some vintage and historical trains which provide some added interest. The RHB runs on 1 metre gauge track and our models are scaled at 1 to 22.5, running on 45mm gauge track to accurately reflect this. The low gauge layout is called Craig and Torry and is exhibited by the Aberdeen Model Railway Club. Craig and Torry is a continuous run layout depicting double main line with a container yard. Additional lines run between a small working yard and a motive power storage area. I spoke with Ewan from the Aberdeen Club, who gave me a few more details.
Being from Aberdeen, we wanted to create something again that reflects the area that we live in. So we've got our big container yard, which is on the south side of Aberdeen, just across the river. So we've tried to represent a container terminal, but also having that harsh North Sea feel.
How big is it?
The layout is about 33 feet long. It's about 2 to 3 feet wide, and it's a big continuous loop where we've got 2 main lines that have a off branch for a private line, and then on the other side we have an off line that goes into the container terminal with 2 lines for the trains, and we've also got a line where the lorries come up and pick up the extra containers.
Your back scene, where's that from?
The majority of the back scene has just been painted to give it a sky, and then we've got containers with a 3D relief on them, which were printed out onto A3 pieces of card and then cut around and tried to build up a wee bit of depth to the background, but to tie in with the container side of the layout. Most of the buildings are a bit of a variant. Some of them are kit builds, like our engine shed down on one side, but we've also got some kits where we've got the B&Q at one end, which was hand built, and we've got a lighthouse in the centre, which was 3D printed by one of our members, painted by another, and then the electronics of it was put in with someone else with a Merg kit. So it's a very much a club orientated group.
Control, what's your control system?
At Aberdeen, all of our control systems use touch cab, so that all of our trains can be controlled through their system by KMS Railtech. For smooth operation, ideally we would have 3 to 4 people.
My thanks to Ewan for the information. This double O gauge layout is Dead End Sidings, exhibited by Helensburgh Model Railway Club. Dead End Sidings is set up as an ingle-nook shunting puzzle to allow the general public to test their shunting skills to make up a train. There are 3 sidings with 8 wagons and a shunting loco. 5 picture cards are chosen at random, and the shunter has to make up the wagons into a train in the order picked out. There is a single line and a platform at the back where a DMU shuttles back and forth, providing passenger service. The layout is DC powered with electrified points. This N-gauge layout is Charlieville, exhibited by Rodney and Christine Hodge. Charlieville is a 7 foot by 3 foot 6 N-gauge tabletop circular layout, plus rear fiddle yard, based on the Great Empire Railroad by Kent Wood and Rick Laban. The version built is a small plains Midwest town of the 50s and 60s with a new canyon addition. The small population has a collection of steam locos which is used to run to outlying farms and mine workings in the distant hills to deliver supplies and pick up produce and cattle for onward shipping. I managed to speak to Christine at the show, who gave me a bit more information.
I've been to America on numerous occasions, touring round, and then my husband got involved with doing with a model railway. And I thought, we'll build something with a grandson when he comes up for school holidays, as I thought. It was okay the first, and then I got bamboozled into showing it for the first time 8 months after I started. So it was a mad scramble.
Right.
And it's carried on from there.
Your back scene, where's that come from?
My design.
Right.
Well, I actually drew it on the backboard and painted it on the main section, and I designed the backboard on the new section, but my husband painted that for me.
Your buildings, are they scratch builds or kit?
Some are kit form, some are bought from Plus Daughters, already made up. Then I tweaked them to what I wanted. The engine shed was built from a Fowler kit.
What's your track?
It's N-gauge track.
Oh, is it Pico, is it? Or?
No, I think it's Bachmann track. It's the slot with a grey base.
What sort of control have you got with it?
Just ordinary.
DC?
Yeah.
Yeah, not digital.
No, I just stick to the basics because I find it a lot easier, and if somebody wants to have a little tweak with it themselves, they can.
Okay. Operation, is that just one person can operate it, or how do you normally do it? Two people? Or?
Two people can do it. One person can operate it, but it does take two to set it up as such.
My thanks to Christine for the information. This 00 gauge layout is Ashton Steel, exhibited by Bruce Duncan of Bonnybridge Model Railway Club. Ashton Steel is an end-to-end micro layout based in the modern era, showing small shunting operations for the loading and unloading of steel. The scenic section is 4 foot wide with a 4 foot fiddle yard. To avoid overloading the scenic area with track, there are no points on the layout. Trains are swapped to another track in the fiddle yard using a sliding plate. All buildings and the bridge are scratch built, mainly from 3mm styrene. Track is Pico Code 75, sprayed with Railwatch sleeper grime and glued down with Yoo-Hoo glue. Control is DCC using Gagemaster Prodigy Express. All tracks are live at all times for DCC. Stock is Bachmann in a variety of liveries. My thanks to Bruce for supplying the information. This layout is Dalnottar Riverside in O gauge and exhibited by the Scottish Diesel and Electric Group. Dalnottar is based on the north bank of the River Clyde near Kilpatrick, between Dalmuir and Bowling. There were 2 railways through this area linking Glasgow with Dumbarton. The line still in use today was built by the North British Railway Company. The other line, built by the Caledonian Railway, was closed after becoming a victim of the Beaching Act in the late 1960s. The word Riverside was added to the line's Calais stations by British Rail in order to distinguish them from the North British stations. The Riverside line remained as a single line stump from Clydebank via Dalmuir to Dalnottar to serve local industries there. Shell Oil has a fuel terminal at Dalnottar located at the end of the line. Other customers on the line were Chivas Regal and Arnott Young Shipbreakers. A coal yard was also situated on the line. The layout is set within the summer of 1979, with the premise being that during this time the line still saw the regular use of short-form passenger trains and DMUs serving Glasgow and Dumbarton, along with a multitude of mixed-rake freight trains serving the various industries on the line. The layout is built on 3 scenic boards and 1 fiddle yard. The buildings are all scratch built. Track is by Pico with handmade points. Control is DCC by Lens, and stock is a mixture of Heljan, Dapol and Just Like the Real Thing. My thanks to Graham for the information. This 00 gauge layout is Balbirnie Mill, exhibited by the Glenrothes Model Railway Club. Balbirnie Mill depicts a small paper mill goods yard with a diesel multiple unit DMU operated passenger branch line passing in the background. The layout is set in a fictional Fife location. The paper mill is situated alongside the Rothes branch line, and because of its limited storage sidings is served by a regular goods service. Pulp, coal and starch are the most common deliveries by rail, and the finished goods are dispatched in enclosed vans. The passenger branch line operates independently with 3 DMUs using an automatic shuttle. The layout is 12 feet by 2 feet across 3 4-foot by 2-foot boards and has been designed for car transportation. All the buildings are scratch built and the track is Pico Code 100 with Pico points. Stock is a mixture of Lima and Bachmann. Couplings are KD, which are ideal for shunting layouts. My thanks to David Cant for supplying the information. This N-gauge layout is the bridge at Remagen, exhibited by Al Turner. On the afternoon of the 7th of March 1945, the bridge at Remagen secured its place in history as it became the first bridge over the Rhine taken intact by the Allied forces. Exploiting this unexpected turn of events, the Allied commanders rapidly changed their battle plans and threw 8,000 troops over the bridge in the first 24 hours to establish a foothold on the east bank of the Rhine. In the 10 days that followed, the bridgehead rapidly expands to 10 miles deep as 5 whole armoured divisions crossed over the Rhine, some 25,000 troops, tanks, truck and equipment, before they broke out, striking to the east into the Ruhr. 6 weeks later, the war was over. The bridge at Remagen is an N-gauge World War II era layout, centred around a true-scale model of the famous Ludendorff Bridge, and is set 6 months before these events in late September 1944, chronologically sitting between Operation Market Garden and the Battle of the Bulge, where the defences around the bridge are being built up in the face of the coming Allied advance. I managed to speak with Al at the exhibition, who gave me a bit more information.
The inspiration came from the film, The Bridge at Remagen, which is the 1968 film with Robert Vaughan and George Segal in it.
Oh right, yeah.
I watched it many years ago as a young kid on a rainy, sunny afternoon with my dad, and I just thought trains and tanks in the same place, that was fantastic. About 5-6 years ago, I suddenly had the opportunity to be able to realise this layout and just sort of set to and did it.
How big is it?
10 metres, just short of 10 metres length to length.
And width?
Width, metre, or the front piece is about 900, just over a metre in total operating space. A lot of thought went into the back scene, I know I probably didn't look it. What to do, whether grey sky or blue sky or scenery and such like. And the problem is with the river being so wide, almost 1.5 metres wide, painting that and getting the perspectives right wouldn't work for anywhere other than being stood right in front of the river. So I thought, go for a clear, bland, grey, sort of grey sky, grey backs will work. Everything on the layout is scratch built, with the exception of the signal box and the signal gantry,
Right.
which time has made me had to revert to a kit on that one, and I think I'll probably replace it with a scratch built one later. But everything else, the bridge, the abutments, the farm buildings, the barn, they're all scratch built.
And that was sourced from photographs, was it?
Yeah, it is. From the centre point of the layout, that way, that's scale accurate. And it's been taken from photographs, maps, aero reconnaissance photographs, placed all the bits there, same with the trench systems and such like, the anti-aircraft battery on top of the mountain, it's all taken from historical photographs. From the centre line going west, there's a lot of artistic licence in there to make it an operational layout.
The control system, what is it?
Simple DC. Simple DC. There's nothing complicated here. One controller controls the east route, the other controller controls the west route. Both operate completely independent from each other, so you've got problems with one, doesn't affect the other.
So how many operators would it normally take?
Normally 3. One on the west, one on the east, one just troubleshooting as things come off. The 10 gauge, the wagons are so light, they have a tendency to jump off and bell joints and such like.
Your stock, what is it?
Most of it ready to run stuff. That's either had some modification with changing the lettering and such like to warp time era. Others have really heavy modification on them. The streamline has just gone through. That's been stripped back, had the streamline casing stripped off it has. Other stuff such as the Garrett mortars here are kits that have been converted to running.
Okay.
Other bits are completely scratch built. The armoured train up on the top there is scratch built. There's a rail ripper that runs around, again that's scratch built.
Each year the show organisers award prizes for the best layouts. First place in 2020 was the bridge at Remagen. To watch more videos like this, click on the playlist and I'll see you there.